Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Uzama, bringing you up to speed with the big happenings in politics and in the polity, and there's a lot happening. Let's bring the headlines first. African Democratic Congress, now new home for the coalition of opposition political parties. Ralph Nwosu surrenders leadership to Senator David Mark as the 2023 presidential candidate of the party. Maybe Kachikwu kicks, accuses them of a hijack. The suspected armed bandits attacked Tangaza local government area of Sokoto state, killing 15 persons with several others sustaining various degrees of injury. Thanks again for joining us on the program, and yet again another sad tale in our national polity, especially in terms of security, as suspected armed bandits have attacked a community in Tangaza local government area of Sokoto state, which led to the killing of 15 persons with several others sustaining various degrees of injury. Local sources said the suspected assailants stormed Kwalajaya village in the early hours of Wednesday and started shooting sporadically, and in the process killed over 15 persons. Some community members expressed concern over the persistent violence in the area, alleging that some persons in parts of the community are collaborating with terrorists that are unleashing violence on citizens in that particular area. Although the police is yet to confirm this incident, community members also claim that the recent attack is carried out by a suspected notorious bandit in the area identified as Charambe. The executive chairman of Tangasa local government area, Honorable Issa Basha Kalanjani, led a delegation to the village and attended the mass funeral. Quite disturbing. And still talking about security, the Nigerian police force has trained officers in community intelligence gathering techniques to enhance their crime control mechanism. Speaking at a 3-day capacity building event organized by the Nigerian Police Force Intelligence Department, FID, in collaboration with Eagle Crime Awareness and Prevention Initiative in Ikeja, Lagos, the representative of the Inspector General of Police, Olabisi Okuwobi, explains that the capacity building training will go a long way in investing in investigations and crime mitigation.
The models being delivered here today, ranging from the roles and responsibilities of a community intelligence gathering officer to community engagement, ethical intelligence practices, and risk management protocols. These are just part of what we're going to learn for these 3 weeks. They are crucial and essential for every operative and community actor seeking to become an effective agent of peace and order. As we delve into sessions on the intelligence sample, gathering techniques, managing confidential information, and more, as well as informants, I urge you to approach each topic not merely as theory, but as tools that you will need, to equip to safeguard lives, protect properties, and promote social harmony.
Okay, away from all of that in terms of security, let's talk about politics. But first off, news just a moment ago, 6 members of the People's Democratic Party in the House of Representatives and the YPP from Akwa Ibom State have now officially defected to the APC. Remember, the governor had defected with a couple of members of the House of Assembly and that of the National Assembly. While the members that have now officially defected to the APC include Unyime Idem, Martins Esem, Paul Ekpo, Odrak Odudo, Okpolu Ete, Basi Okon, and the only YPP member in the state, in the House, Emmanuel Okpong Udo. That's from Akwa Ibom State. All of these 6 members of the PDP and 1 member of the YPP from Akwa Ibom State have now officially defected to the All Progressives Congress. Now, let's tell you what played out yesterday. Eventually, the coalition held a meeting, and they've now adopted the ADC, African Democratic Congress, as their new home, the home of the coalition of opposition political parties, where the chairman of the party, Ralph Mosu, has now surrendered the leadership of the party to the coalition led by Senator David Mark, and Rauf Aragbashala, as well as Rauf Aragbashala, the former governor for Osun State and former Minister of Interior, is now the secretary, interim, we should say, of the party. Let's take a listen to their remarks.
Former Vice President Kachikwu Abubakar, as well as the 2023.
We don't have any doubt that in the man, we all decided to resign so that he can pedal this canoe and get us to the villa.
Let it be known today across Nigeria and beyond, the opposition is united. The platform is ADC. The time is now. The mission is clear. Rescue Nigeria, rebuild Nigeria, return power to the people.
All right, rescue Nigeria, rebuild Nigeria, return power to the people. That's according to David Mark, the interim chairman of the ADC, as the party was handed over to them. But the presidential candidate of the party in the last election, Dumebi Kachikwu, is saying, you're joining the wrong ADC. In fact, it's a hijack of the political party. Let's take a listen to him.
I called him that. Very clear. For you to hold any office in that party, you must have been a member of that party for at least 2 years. These are gentlemen who just picked party membership in the last couple of weeks. How do they then appoint themselves? Who appointed you? Can you be a party official without a convention? We have not had any convention. You know, so what they have done, everybody understands that is a case of someone buying a bad product. But what they never expected was that these gentlemen, who they see as common peasants, common Nigerians, that they will have what it takes to stand up and stand against them, and that is what you're saying. I assure you, tomorrow you will see the state secretaries, the state women leaders, the state youth leaders all converging in Abuja, just hearing that their party has been sold in the media. So at this point now, the state chairmen are seeking to have a special convention so they can bring a leadership into the party. And that is what we are in the process of working with INEC now to get a date for that convention. Unfortunately, like I said, our party constitution does not allow new members to hold party offices. So these people are excluded or precluded from participating in that convention.
All right, let's bring in my guest. He's part of the people that was at that particular meeting. The former Minister of Sports, Solomon Dalong, joins me virtually. Mr. Dalong, good to see you. Thank you for coming on the program.
Well, good afternoon, Geoffrey.
At the end of the day, it looks like now the opposition has found a rallying point, but it looks like also it's not Uhuru yet. Now, let's begin with the in-house conversations they've been having. I know that it's not a merger, it's a coalition, so different interests are coming together within a space to say, can we use this vehicle for our political agenda? But just listening to Dumebi Kachikwu, let's start from there. Is this about panic, or there's a bit of rational, what he's saying has some level of concern for the coalition?
Well, the coalition process took like 18 months. And this was well articulated by the outgoing chairman of APC, Okem Wonsu. And he did mention that there were about 20 or thereabout NEC meetings of the party, and which ventilated most of the housekeeping issues before we got to where we were yesterday. And so if the presidential candidate of the party in the last election had some grudges, as he's expressing, They are democratic, and they are genuine within democracy. And that's the beauty of democracy itself. But all we know is that a committee was set up to engage with political parties. And there are other political parties that are still being engaged so that they can also be part of the coalition completely. And so if he has those grudges, I am not in the place to speak for the party. But as at yesterday, there were all the members of the National Working Committee of the party in attendance. The chairman of the board of trustees of the party was in attendance. So it wasn't a hijack because the members of the party were there and the coalition elements were there to witness the transition of leadership. So he might not know the developments that had taken place. He might not be in touch with the party and so not quite informed about what has happened. But then he had expressed his feelings about what has transpired. The party will have to deal with it because the party is under a new leadership. Other members of the National Working Committee of the party who resigned their position yesterday were also in attendance, except if he is saying that the party with which he contested the election, which this party chairman who resigned, whom I knew personally as the chairman of that party for a very long time, he even told the history of how the party was built to what it is yesterday. And he gave his reasons for why he decided to resign. So I think the word hijack maybe might be used to be more appealing, but in truth, there was a process. And if he was not aware of the process, then he was in a position to ask questions, just like he's doing.
Okay, I know that Bolaji Abdullahi, who is the spokesperson of the coalition, has actually responded to him yesterday to the effect that where was he all of this while? And now that it has consolidated, is now out. And we also have to look at all the things that have been claimed as to what the laws of the party are, whether indeed it will take 2 years to be a member for you to emerge as one of the leaders of the party. There are so many things to look at, but let's walk away from that. This morning we had a conversation with one of the presidential spokesperson, Danny Boala. It says this coalition has no vision. Those were his words. And I'm looking at Bayo Nanuga's Twitter handle, now X. Some members of the Hijack ADC, who were reported as members of the APC, left APC years and months ago, and he began to describe each of them, from Rotimi Amechi to Atiku Abubakar to Hadi Sirika to Raul Aregbe Shola and all of that. More like looking at these ones as maybe disgruntled politicians. I think the president was in Nasarawa when he said that they are political IDPs or so. When you hear this description and this response from the presidency and the president, does it make you feel like this is them dismissing the coalition and said, you're nothing for us to worry about, or this is actually panic response?
What Nigerians should take very seriously from all you've said is the prophecy of Prophet Daniel Boala. Daniel Boala is a spokesperson of Atiku Abubakar in the 2023 election. And after the election said, and I quote, even if you give Bola Ahmed Tinubu 30 years, nothing will happen. And that's the prophecy we are living with. He had not made any new prophecy from God, which now made him to jump ship into the APC. So we're living with his prophecy because 2 years gone and nothing has happened. So whatever they are saying this morning is a reaction of political elements that have suddenly woke up to realize that their interest has been threatened. And so they are trying to dismiss it. If the coalition was nothing to fear, why will they go out and block the venue that was to be used for the coalition meeting yesterday? In democracy, you allow your opponent to display his strength and canvass his ideas. And you overrun him with superiority of ideas. But all that they could say degenerate into profiling of personalities in the coalition. And these are people that even if their dead bodies are lying on the ground, Nigerians will honor it more than them living. So their politics of trying to disparage reputation and personality instead of accountability. What I expected these two gentlemen would have done is to tell us that, look, Abacha withdrew subsidy and set up PTF. This was what was achieved. But we now withdrew complete subsidy in 2023. This is what we have been able to save for Nigeria. This is what they have been able to achieve. They cannot be able to account, and they're now just dismissing issues. There are very serious issues that they were supposed to use to counter the opposition and not personality. They should tell us, why has the Naira been unable to come down? Why is their palliative program failed? Why have they been unable to deal with corruption? What has happened to a minister who in 6 months is accused of being unable to account for 72 billion? These are the issues that Nigerians will want to do. And how are they tackling hunger and poverty? Because they are in government. They control resources. They cannot degenerate into attack of personality. I mean, this, again, justify why the coalition is necessary.
Of things I want to find out from you, maybe in terms of policy, but let's stay with a bit of the politics. The last statement of Bayo Onanuga, who is one of the spokesperson, he said, what is certain is that the group will soon unravel due to irreconcilable personal ambition. So a lot of people have looked at that group, and there are a couple of persons that have presidential ambition. Is that a potential threat to the ability to coalesce, if you will, and be able to give Nigeria a formidable opposition? Atiku Abubakar wants to be president, Rotimi Amaechi wants to be president, Peter Obi wants to be president, maybe a couple of other persons.
I even want to be president.
Okay.
So you add me to it. Yes,
okay.
And there are more people that want to be president. But you see, the beauty of this coalition is that it is not about individual interest, but about the country, the future, and democracy. And the country is above any other existing interest. You see, the coalition is not just a day's thing. It has been in existence for over 18 months. And the coalition elements are aware of this cheap politics. Yes, there is nothing wrong with people holding presidential ambition. But what we are basically interested in is how to rescue and save the country and save our democracy. I mean, in the news item you read just now, they're telling us that the girl of defections has resumed. And I have told Nigerians earlier than now that even if the 36 state governors defect to APC, and the president appoints his son Shea to be an INEC chairman, and INEC will be the last institution to defect to APC, they will still have to face Nigerians because 2027 is about common people of this country and APC, which is government that has weaponized poverty, hunger, and insecurity. So I think they are missing the point, and they need to be tutored about what is happening, because they are living within the comfort zone, so they might not be really in touch with the reality.
All right, Honorable Minister. So let's look at some issues around policy. So, for instance, let's use the APC's playbook before they came into power. In fact, I interviewed one of the leaders of the PDP some time ago, and I did tell him that the PDP as then is not giving Nigeria the kind of viable opposition that a democracy should have. He said yes, he agrees. That PDP is not doing what APC did. I said, what exactly did APC do? He said they use propaganda. I said, really? Now, let's take that as an aside from his own perspective. There's something the APC, they gave an opposition, their slogan was simple, change. And then they rallied around the weaknesses of the president, then Goodluck Jonathan, said there was too much corruption, so they will tackle corruption, anti-corruption. There was insecurity, the Chibok girls, you remember, they said they will make sure the country is secured. They said the economy was in tatters. They will revamp the economy. But what we're seeing right now is the fireworks of personality aggregation to the effect that things are bad, we need a replacement, we need to take Bola Tinubu out. But we would like to hear, maybe from you, what is the big picture as far as policy direction and things that the coalition intends to change actively? I listed just 3 things. From the coalition point of view, what is the game plan here?
You see, very soon the coalition will release its own game plan. All this while, it has been a struggle for a platform. And in Nigeria, the political platform is very, very critical as to determining and shaping of the direction. So the coalition will definitely roll out its own agenda, put the issues on the table for Nigerians. So we have just gotten a platform. Leadership had been appointed. And let me inform you, it was only people that joined the ADC yesterday that were given that joined the ADC and were given their membership card yesterday. The interim national chairman and the interim national secretary. And in the in the coalition, there were APC members on the touchline waiting to join. SDP, PGP, ABGA, YPP. It was a conglomeration of political stakeholders in Nigeria, which you cannot dismiss. And strategically, I mean, a man with a reputable credentials was picked to chair the party. That tells you how serious it is. David Mark is not somebody you can easily dismiss. You cannot come up with a video of David Mark stuffing dollars in the pocket or anything of such. You cannot dismiss the coalition movement with a wave of hand. So I will appeal to Nigerians to wait as things unfold, because the blueprint will be presented to Nigerians.
All right, Mr. Dalong.
And that is, yes.
Yes, as we begin to wind down, just one straight question. Nigerians have seen literally the frontliners before. They have a track record. Whether they were governors or ministers or vice president, they all, including you all have a track record. And Nigerians have a view of what that track record is really all about. Why should Nigerians trust the coalition? If you can answer in 1 minute.
Apostle Paul was the persecutor of Christians. And he turned around to be the one who built the foundation of modern Christianity. All those who in history had been able to rebuild their societies were people who had history. So these very great gentlemen who had track records of yesterday are the best to rebuild Nigeria because they had track records of either performances or failure, depending on where you are assessing them. So they are in a better position to rebuild the country.
Solomon Dalong, the former Minister of Sports, always coming through whenever we call. Thank you, sir, for coming through. And I wish you and the coalition the very best. For us who are journalists, it's an interesting time. We want viable opposition. We don't care what the name of that opposition is. There should never be a time when Nigeria goes to an election and we have only one option. It's not good for democracy. So we wish you the very best. Let's see how the coming days play out. And it's going to be interesting. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. And just before we wrap up, let's tell you that the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Amalgamated Union of Motor Mechanics and Technicians of Nigeria are demanding justice after the Lagos State authorities are said to have demolished 15 workshop at the Otumara Mechanic Village in Costain, Butemeta, describing the move as unlawful and economically devastating.
What we are doing is legitimate, different processes. The lawyer is helping us to file a suit, a case, against those who have come to disrupt your source of livelihood, your daily activities. And then this one too is to notify and to let the public to know the injustice that has been meted to you. And we are also drawing the attention of the government to this injustice. Letters have been sent, yes, we understand. But that letter, those who are, will they allow that letter to get to the destination? Will they allow that letter to get there? But we know that government, they watch television and then they also read newspapers. They don't want any negative news around them. So they will swing into action even when they see or they hear this. That is why we say, let's start from this.
The NLC, led by the chairperson, representing the entire workforce in Lagos State, is making a passionate appeal to the governor of Lagos State to intervene and grant redress to the members of this trade group whose means of livelihood have been taken. It's not just land, it's their means of livelihood. That's where they work, that's where they earn a decent and legitimate living.
And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and, of course, your usual company. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye.